So I am here with the amazing Sarah, and she is from Pearl Performance. And Sarah is or has been, she's a Speak Plus alumni. And what I love about Sarah is she's one of those clients that comes in and no matter what the challenge is, she rises up to it and beyond. So it was such a pleasure, Sarah, to have you in the program. Speak Plus is a 12-week learning experience to help you get on the stage, whatever that means for you, and to create the success that you seek. And you sure did it. So, hi, Sarah.
Mhm.
Thank you for chatting with me right now. Appreciate it.
Hi, Trisha. I'm so happy to be here. I obviously loved the program and had great success from it. So that's why I want to record this video with you.
Well, I really appreciate that. It's very nice of you because you don't have to, but you're here. So thank you. So yeah, the 12-week program of Speak Plus, it is an experience where you have to put the work in to get the work out of it. Tell us a little bit about the journey from maybe we'll back up to before you actually signed on. What motivated you to get involved with something like Speak Plus?
Yeah, I'll back way up. So I set a goal to become a professional speaker. I wanted to be a world-renowned speaker, coach, and educator. And I started taking little steps every day towards that goal. And one of the steps I took was to go to the CAPS convention in Calgary in 2022. And I met the wonderful Trisha. And then I stayed in touch with Trisha, kept taking steps towards my goal. And then I got to the spot where I was like, okay, like I'm ready to do this, but how am I going to say these words? How am I going to tell my story? How's it going to make sense? How's it going to land with the audience? And Trisha offered this program, and I was like, oh, that's what I need. How to write my speeches, how to get the confidence, the technical stuff behind the scenes, all the tips and tricks. So that's what brought me to you.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. I'm so glad it did. So you signed on, you got onboarded, you started the process. Those first couple of weeks, in my opinion, are kind of the toughest because I'm asking some really hard questions. How was the experience for you in those first 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, those first 3 weeks of building like what is your impact statement, right? Like, what are you going to talk about? When people say, what do you talk about? Like, what's your answer to that question? What's your elevator pitch?
Mhm.
Um, it was tricky for me, but I had been on a journey to try and figure that out. So I think it was just great to have, the group where we could say, here's my speech, or my impact statement, what do you think? And get the feedback from you and the other participants to know, am I on the right track? Is this going to land? Is that really what I meant to say? So I found that it was a lot of work, but that's the important stuff, right?
Yeah, the foundation to building the house of your speaking career. And so what is your impact statement?
Okay, so I help busy corporate moms go from tired and overwhelmed to rested and focused.
Mm. It just sounds nice when you say it. There's something about your voice. I know we recorded a podcast episode together on Passion for Impact, and it's like your voice is so calming. It's like I need some more of that in my life. That is
Yeah. And
powerful. Yeah.
yeah, and it's something that I've done through my entire career. I've been leading people my whole career. People come into my office, they're in tears, they're overwhelmed, they, don't know what to do next. And by the end of a conversation, they're calm. They know
Mhm.
what step is next. They're, one thing at a time, 1 minute at a time sometimes, right? But it's kind of my superpower. I love
Yeah,
it.
and the awareness that it's your superpower. And what I like about your impact statement and what makes a great one is that it seems like there's quite a bit of alignment between your skills and your experience and the impact you can make by combining those two. So does it feel very aligned for you even now that you're past the program and you're doing all the speaking work?
Yeah, it feels beautiful to me. Yeah. And obviously in the beginning, some of my speeches aren't perfectly lining up with that, but that's okay. It's still giving me practice on stage talking, right? And telling my stories. And yeah, we'll get into the speech writing formula, but it, it, you've given me the skills to be able to talk about a lot of different topics, right? Whether they exactly line up with my impact statement or not. But when I do the work aligned to my impact statement, it feels the best.
Doesn't it, right? It's like fuel. It's like, yes, I'm doing what I was meant to do. So a big part of Speak Plus, especially in the beginning, well, it feeds throughout the program, is stories and how it's, really as a speaker, you are a storyteller. And that experience of really taking inventory of the stories that make the most impact on stage. How is that process for you? And maybe you could even share one that really stands out for you.
Yeah, the story inventory has been amazing. Like having and and the stories come to me in random places, right? I was dropping my daughter off at forest school and I was having a little tour because it was new to her. And I was reminded of this great story about these turtles that we had as pets when we were kids.
Oh,
My dad dug them up in the garden. They we kept them in this little aquarium and we had these turtles for 8 or 9 years. And then
wow.
we said, but the turtles are interesting because the turtles only grow to the size of their environment. So they're little, they stayed little, they were baby turtles for 8 years. They never grew bigger because they were in an aquarium that was that big. That has given me so many metaphors in life about how, especially how we use time, right? As human beings, we're like turtles. We grow to the size that we're given. If we're given 8 hours to do a task, we're going to take 8 hours to do that task, maybe even 9 or 10. But if we're given 1 hour to do that task, we can get it done in 1 hour. We
Hmm.
grow to the size of our environment, just like turtles. So the turtles taught me so much, but had I not been out in the forest, I wouldn't have thought about, oh yeah, the turtles and
Hmm.
that's great. And now it's in my story inventory, and I know when I need to pull it out and use it.
Right? Okay, one day I'm going to be seeing you live and I'll be like, "Oh, there's the turtle story." Yeah,
Yeah.
stories are truly one of the most important pieces, I think, for any speaker on any journey in any program, and that's why it's very much infused and throughout Speak Plus as well. So there is that bridge, and I talk about it a lot in Speak Plus, especially in the lives, that bridge between, okay, this is what I want to do, and actually doing it. Um, and it's an interesting bridge, and that's why Speak Plus is called Speak Plus, because it's the plus part that often gets in our way. What was
Mhm.
one realization maybe that you had, if you don't mind sharing, where you realized, oh, maybe I'm having a limiting thought or I'm holding myself back that became more clear to you as part of the discovery process throughout Speak Plus?
Hmm. Definitely, like I try not to limit myself, so that's a tough question for me. Like I try to be open to whatever opportunities are coming my way, and I think that's benefited me in the speaking because I've gotten in front of different community partners, different business leaders, and been able to let them know that I'm a professional speaker, right?
Hmm.
I think I started out in Speak Plus thinking I was a motivational speaker. And then when you realize, yeah, I'm going to speak and I'm going to motivate and inspire people, but actually I'm a professional speaker. I love to be on stage with a microphone in my hand. And I've done gigs. I did an MC for a sports banquet, a year-end celebration. I was the MC for them. Everyone was raved about it. All I did was introduce the teams as they came up and make the coach feel comfortable up there. And, as they were talking. And it made a big difference because we've done the same thing year over year without a professional speaker there. And so it impacted the event in a positive way. I've also done my signature keynote on grit and grace. And I've like blown the audiences away and you see them crying or they come up after and they're like, can I have a hug? That was amazing. And, so I think I might have lost track on the question.
No, it's all good. Well, the question was about a discovery about maybe something about yourself in Speak Plus.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, okay, maybe. And that is a discovery right there. You go in thinking it'd be one thing, and then you realize that it can be so much more, or it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
exactly in that.
Yeah, so I think that's the key discovery for me is instead of saying I'm a motivational speaker, I've said I'm a professional speaker because I really do love being on stage speaking about a variety of topics. And I have 22 years of leadership experience, and there's a lot of stories in there to tell. Never mind the 20 years of my childhood before that have also some great stories like the turtles, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You vast array of
yeah.
stories. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges sometimes is like whittling the content down into the golden nuggets, as we like to
Mhm.
call them for sure. Okay, let's talk about your speech because again, crossing that bridge to actually getting on stage and doing it, that's a process. There's a speech roadmap in Speak Plus. Was that helpful for you?
The speech roadmap was probably the best part of the whole program for me. So when we set out at the start of the 12 weeks, I said by the end of this 12 weeks, I'm going to deliver my keynote speech. That was my goal. And so I did it. I booked a theater. I started selling tickets. I did all the behind the scenes, the plus part of Speak Plus to get this event off. But I also use the speech writing formula to write a beautiful speech that was super impactful, that I didn't have to memorize. I think I was super worried about memorizing. There
Yeah.
was no memorizing. I knew what my stories were. I knew the order of the stories. I, of course, practiced it because this is a big deal. But every time I practiced it and the time I did it live, it came out slightly different, but it was still impactful. So the
Mm.
speech writing formula, so good.
That is so amazing to hear. And it is definitely has had a lot of impact for people just because it provides the structure. And yes, you don't have to memorize. I think that's the
No.
biggest worry most people have is how am I going to memorize a 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour
Yeah.
program? It's like, no, you don't, not at all.
No,
Okay.
no.
What if you could, and this is putting you on the spot, but you're so good at it anyway, so I'm going to do it. If you could narrow it down to maybe like your top three takeaways in Speak Plus, what would they be for you?
Oh yeah, the number one is the speech writing formula because I've written 7 or 8 speeches since then and I've used that formula and it makes it so easy.
Mm,
So I think that's like the gold nugget from the program. Second is having your support and knowing like you're an expert speaker and you've been doing this for a long time and you know like having when you tell me that I'm doing a good job, that's impactful to me, right? So
mhm,
you really built a lot of confidence in me. So I love that part.
mm.
And the third thing, I loved the community. I loved the Facebook community where we could all share our wins and learn from each other and see, the way that one speaker might organize their website versus another and just see other examples of how people are putting it into action. So I love that. Those are my
Okay.
three.
That was good. Look at you, you're like on the spot, putting it all together. I love that. So Speak Plus is definitely an experience for those who want to take it on. You really did. And speaking of community, I am so appreciative that you dived into the community and shared your own like expertise and energy and whatnot, because not everyone is comfortable doing that, but you are. So like you're the kind of person who comes into the program and really adds so much value to it. I also can say that you were one of the few people throughout all of my cohorts who regularly, and I mentioned this in the beginning, but it's really important, you do the challenges where you're actually putting yourself out into the uncomfortableness of like doing that 1 minute story version that from the process in the program and sharing it. So how, just for anyone who's maybe watching and is like, I think I need something like this, but I'm not sure. How can, what kind of advice maybe can you give them to help someone like that dive in fully? Like, how did you do that? How do you have the courage to do that?
I think it's what you put into a program is what you get out of it in anything in life, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to invest in a program like this, you want to go full in, right? And I think the reason why people don't go full in is because they're scared. They're afraid of success. No, they're afraid of failure, which is to me the same as being afraid of success.
Mm,
So if you're afraid of what's going to be on the other side, like you just need to think of how great it is on the other side and put in the work and get there, right?
mhm.
So
Cross the
I
bridge.
love when you say like I'm your ideal client that way does the work and does the challenges, but if people are honest with themselves, like you're making an investment in yourself. Don't
Yeah.
waste, like do the work and get the results. It's worked so well for me.
Well, you are definitely an inspiration. Thank you, Sarah. So if someone wants to connect with you, they want to learn more about what you offer and what you do, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best place is my website, sarahkinlin.com, Sarah with an H. And I'm also on Instagram in my stories every single day at Pearl Performance Inc.
Nice. Okay. And so everyone follow, check it out. You can follow along with Sarah's journey. Now, one more question before we go. We talk about power statements in the program, those moments on stage where you plant your feet and you have distilled a lesson you've learned into a golden nugget that you share with the audience. Do you have one that you'd like to share with us now?
When you know how you're going to feel when you achieve a goal, it makes getting after that goal so easy.
One of your philosophies. Easy. I love that. Thank you,
Mhm.
Sarah. Thank you for joining us.